All right, so one of the interesting things that has come up kind of recently for me with tarot cards is people are kind of asking, are the tarot cards evil? Are these things bad? Are they the devil's workshop? Like, what's really going on, right? And I think one of the main things with tarot cards is that it's something that's different. It's not super widely well known how they work, what's going on with them, what they do. It's becoming a little more popular and slightly more mainstream, which is good, but I still think there's a lot of kind of mystery and confusion surrounding tarot cards. And so people, I think, generally tend to be fearful of what they don't understand. So if you've had a negative experience reading tarot cards or gotten a bad reading or had some weird things, I kind of want to talk about that today. So the tarot cards, I don't believe, are evil in any way. For me, they're a divination tool that is very helpful and beneficial for positive self-growth, for removing roadblocks and obstacles that are in your path, and really helping you kind of get where you want to go and to be the best version of yourself every day. Now, if you're using the cards with that sort of intention in mind, then that's what you're going to get out of it. Now, if you're using the tarot cards to gain information, to manipulate other people, or to harm other people, then you might get some more negative energy or things that are kind of going haywire around that, right? Because whatever energy you're working in is what's going to be drawn to you. So if you're working, with kind of lower energies or things like that, that's kind of the energy that you're going to get, right? So if you're having a bad experience, consider that could be one of the options. Now, the other thing that's happening too is sometimes people, if they've had a bad experience with it, sometimes people aren't right in here, right? You need to really, if you're going to be working with any sort of divination tools, if you're going to be working with spirit, one of the really important things is forming a good connection, not just with spirit and your magic, but also with yourself, right? These are 3 connections I think are some of the most important things that you can have as you're walking your spiritual path. Because we all have a lot of healing work to do. We all have a lot of, things like outdated beliefs. We all have a lot of bad behavior patterns. Like, nicest person in the world can have a bad behavior pattern, right? It's possible. It just might not be something they're showing or expressing to everybody. But we all came here because we have work to do on ourselves, right? And so I feel like if you're not doing that work, you are creating chaos kind of around you because you're not paying attention. And so sometimes if you are diving into areas like divination and tarot cards, that chaotic energy can kind of be drawn around you if you're not working on yourself and if you don't have that good connection. So if you are experiencing that, that could be it. Another thing too is maybe you need to be working with a more secure space when you're working. So for me, I do kind of a lot of magic and spells and different things. And one of the things that's really important to me when I'm working to keep myself safe and protected, more so than just burning some incense and a candle, I call in the corners, right? I call in all the corners, and I call in 2 very powerful angels to work with me to really seal off a circle. And I direct the energy to make sure that nothing funky or bad is going to get into my space while I'm working. I want to be concentrating on what I'm doing, and I don't want to be blown around like a paper bag in a tornado. Like, that's not going to be good for anybody. So make sure that you are working in a safe and secure space. And also too, that you, if you're working in your house, make sure your house is energetically cleansed, right? You have to clean it like you have to vacuum and mop and empty the dishwasher. It's the same thing, especially if you are in the spiritual field, because a lot of stuff will kind of come in and out, and it's your job to be the gatekeeper and say, this is cool and this is not cool, right? So those are some things that can maybe come up if you're having a hard time with the cards and you're like, oh, maybe these aren't super good. Another issue that I feel like that people have when they have an impression of cards being evil is with religion. Because a lot of religions, even though they do a lot of stuff that's very similar to spirituality, like spirituality is a little more free-flowing, and the organized religions are have more kind of steadfast rules in place. But a lot of the things are very similar. We just might call it a different thing, or we might do it in a slightly different way, right? So when people are very religious, they've kind of been taught not to break those rules. And so doing something spiritual, a practice like maybe reading tarot cards, might feel really good to them because it's a good place to operate from, right? Like, you can kind of make it whatever you want, and it's about positivity and love and energy, and good vibrations, right? And things like that. But they kind of feel bad about it. Like, I've noticed this a lot in classes, people doing energy work or tarot cards, they kind of go, oh, I'm not sure, would God approve of this? I don't know if this might, other people might look at me funny at my church because I'm doing this. This doesn't feel right, and always too, if it doesn't feel right to you, then don't do it, right? You have to really be comfortable, and I would never want to force somebody or encourage somebody to do something that just intuitively felt off to them for what they were doing. My personal opinion on this, and you can take it or leave it, it's not the truth, it's just my opinion, is that I think you can be religious and spiritual at the same time, right? But you have to find that way to balance that for yourself. My personal belief is that, spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call that source energy, it loves everybody and it wants you to be happy. So if you're happy with a regular religion, that's fine. If you're happier in spirituality, great, right? So you got to really do what works for you. But I find that that kind of place of like not feeling or knowing what they should be doing kind of holds people back and creates this negative energy like this is bad, right? And so it's a perception, not necessarily a fact. So do whatever, you think feels right for you. So those are some things really, I think that if you're getting some kind of evilness or some whatever around cards, that might just be what it is. Also too, like in the movies and things like that, they portray it very badly, and they've actually been getting a lot better with it lately, but a lot of people are used to the first appearances of it, when they saw it early on in their life. So they have this negative connotation, oh, reading cards means this. And they have a certain belief that's pre-programmed in there that may or may not be true. So sometimes too, people either get a backlash or feel like they shouldn't be doing something because of that. So that's my personal opinion on all of those things. I hope that was helpful and it gives you kind of more of like a basis or a jumping off point to kind of explore this subject more on your own. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you want to get a reading from me, please let me know. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching and have an absolutely beautiful day.